Hey, friends. April here with Touching Clients. Happy Thursday. My gosh, I can't believe how fast November has flown. So Thursday, I feel like all of a sudden it's here again and I get to see your fine faces. So great to see everybody. Welcome. Every Thursday, I bring to you a live stream, which is a 30-minute training and under to help you with your digital marketing needs and answer any questions you have on marketing and seeing how I can help you. We are streaming live to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. It's great to see everybody. If you have a question, feel free to ask and drop it in the comments. I'm here to answer them, and you're also welcome to, if you are catching the recording, to ask a question. I do get notified, and I will answer it as well. All right, so today we're going to be talking about content that connects and how to blend SEO and authenticity. It's a changing world of, we're always Oh, so let me back up. One of my favorite things about digital marketing is that it's very fluid. I love to see the different changes and ebbs and flows and all the things that we can do to bump our business to the next level. It definitely keeps you on your toes, as so to speak. I teach digital marketing course at the college, and it's always interesting because the students they bring in their perspective of things that searching for a business, going to a website, advertising, things like that. And what's interesting is some of the things they bring to class in a perspective is something that was it's already changed. And so that's what we talk a lot about. And I think as business owners, we already wear many hats. So we have to always be on our tippy toes of thinking about, God, what's next? And how can we better, come up in our ranking, especially in Google. And now we have AI as part of it. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen here. And again, friends, feel free to mark your questions with a Q. I'm sorry, my office, I have sun in my face. Hopefully it'll, it's only 2, but I feel like the sun goes down early. So, all right, so you should be able to see my screen okay here. All right, so just as we get started, again, my name is April Woodcock. I'm with Touching Clients. I own a digital marketing agency here in Eastern Connecticut, in a little town called Voluntown. I work remotely with my partner in crime, my husband, Kevin. My daughter also supports our business, and we have some others on our team. So if you need to reach out, feel free. You're always welcome to drop me a text, or you're welcome to email me or connect on social media. All right, so, whoops, my screen. So one of the things you need to remember, SEO, so it's search engine optimization. SEO helps get you seen. Authenticity, that's you, that's your real human self, gets you remembered. And that's really important to kind of always be considering in the messaging. So you want to be writing for Google to understand you, but so humans feel you. So we always need to be thinking about the emotional connection. I remember when we first started doing search engine optimization for websites. And I remember specifically because so Kevin does that in our business, and he's he's a little bit more type A personality than me, which is perfect for SEO because he's on point, he's very organized. But when he first started writing SEO, and at the time, it was really not about writing for humans. It was really writing about keywords and making sure, that you had enough keywords in your content. And it was very definitely unhuman. And it used to bother me. And he'd be like, this is what we need to do. And it worked. It worked at the time. Now, this is years ago and things have changed. But so these are things you need to consider, right? So Google understands you, but your true self is coming out. And it really does matter, in part because SEO helps get you found. So search engine optimization, we're talking about keywords in your content. We're talking about, keywords that are optimized in your website. There's all sorts of elements that go into backlinks, so linking from other pages in your website. But authenticity helps get you followed. So like today, you're here, you're watching me, you came to watch this live stream because obviously you're probably interested in the topic, but it's a way for me to connect with you too, right? And so you're getting a real bird's eye view of who April is, kind of who Touching Clients is, and what we offer. And the big thing is you have to do both. You have to really kind of combine those two to help that presence. And here's just a kind of stat: 81% of people skim search results before choosing who to trust. So we, again, as business owners, we're wearing these many hats and we're always having to try to stay ahead of the curve and looking for ways to stay in front of our audience. So the misconception is SEO is writing for a robot. So yeah, we're writing for Google. And I use the example with Kevin, kind of the old SEO way of really kind of just writing with those keywords in mind. So we're not keyword stuffing. We're not adding keywords in every other sentence. We're not adding them in every other title. We're not using that awkward phrasing, because that's kind of what it was before, and not losing your voice. I think one of the biggest things and that we all offer is who we are and what we bring to the table and our expertise. So we need to have that showing in the content that we're delivering to our audience. So in our blog posts, when we're talking about our services, when we're talking about services in our events that we're offering, our webinars, these are things that also help with search engine optimization. So the reality is SEO is about clarity, structure, and relevance. Excuse me. And what really Google wants, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to get out of the sun here. So sorry about that. So what Google really actually wants is helpful expertise. So you are sharing exactly your voice and what you know with your audiences, original perspective, your take on different things, author experience, and then natural word alignment. So it's natural, it's not like robotic. And kind of, here's an example, best dog training tips. Google really wants your lived experience, not generic tips. So if you're offering best dog training tips, you're going to want to add some of your expertise, or maybe some information of from one of your clients and how you can put that into perspective. It also connects the dots for people, right? So like if somebody's coming to your website, they're going to be more likely to be interested in what you offer and connect because of that emotional connection. So kind of SEO and authenticity, it's really discoverability. So SEO, that's your search engine optimization with your keywords, plus your personality added to it. And that's going to create the connection. That's going to help you get found in search results on Google, Safari, Bing, all of those places. So my goal is to give you some steps that you can take away today, and that they're actionable, that you can put to play right away. Some of them you're probably already doing. This might be a refresher, but I do think it's helpful. So kind of start with the reader, not the keyword. So if I were looking for something on the best training tips for dogs, it's about me and what I need to learn about, right? So some of the questions you should be asking are, what are you searching for? What are they searching for? Sorry, what are they searching for? And really kind of, what's the problem that they're trying to solve? You hear this time and time again. I feel like I do say this a lot, but really our goal as business owners, our products and service that we offer, we are solving some kind of problem. We're solving a very specific need in the marketplace of what they need. So these are questions you definitely want to ask. And what emotion do they feel? Is it an overwhelming experience and your product or service is going to help with that? Is it confusion? Like, I don't know what to do. Or is it just curiosity? So obviously every business is different. So that's how it's going to play into that. So here's an example. If you search email marketing ideas, kind of really the real problem is I don't know what to post and I feel stuck. So that's a commonality. We do a lot with email marketing, and that's something that I get all the time. Actually, I did a webinar the other day on email marketing, and they were talking about, well, I just don't know what to write, but they do. So just different perspectives of search that are helpful. So step 2 would be choose keywords that support the story. So keyword types to use naturally. The primary keyword, which is going to be your main topic of whatever you're talking about in your content. So whether it's in a blog post, focus blog post, or in your services. Your secondary keyword is something that's related to whatever you're talking about. So if I were talking about email marketing, my secondary keyword would be related to that. So it could be email newsletter, it could be email promotion, and then long tail key phrases are kind of how real people search, which is multiple words. So like, for example, how do I write an email newsletter? how do I get new ideas for an email newsletter? So it's more of a kind of a sentence, and they call that long tail phrases. So pieces of that. So an example is primary is online business after 50. A secondary would be how to start an online business. And then the long tail would be how to start an online business later in life. So, sometimes I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm fine with acknowledging my age, the ripe old age of 52 now. But there's times where I don't want to share my age. So it's just kind of giving you a perspective of different ways to search. So keyword placement is key to your success. And the good news is, friends, there's lots of tools that can help support that. So keywords, where you should be thinking about them, putting them in your content. So your title, that's always a place that obviously you want it to be. The first 100 words of your post, you want to make sure that keyword is there. Headers. So these are typically like you're going to put when you have paragraphs in your content. It's always great to add an additional header that might have a keyword, which would be like, so you hear the H1, you hear H1, H2, H3. I don't really want to get in the weeds today, but that's something where that would be part of your header. And then image alt text. This is one of the things that is a very big miss for lots of business owners. We load images to our email. We load images in your email are not necessarily relevant to SEO, but on your website it is. So if you're doing a blog post and you want to make sure that you're using alt attributes, so it's kind of the underscore, using your keyword to name your pictures. A lot of people don't name their pictures, and that actually hurts you being found, because I'm sure you all have tried it. We've done a Google search for something, and then you're looking and there's images, right? There might be images that you look at, you're kind of trying to get ideas. So on your Google search, you have tabs. So it's usually like news, images, videos, shopping. But you want to make sure that your images are labeled correctly. It's an extra step, but it's well worth it. Your meta description. So this is actually when you are doing a search for a product or service, or you're like looking for just an idea, what you see on Google is typically the name, might be the name of the website, or it might be the name of the blog post. But then under it, there's a limited amount of text that gives you insight to what that article is about, or that information you're searching for. That's what we call the meta description. And it's typically 156 characters or under. Now, a lot of times what happens is when somebody gets their website built, there's kind of a default meta description that shows up. But it's really important when you are doing a blog post that you understand where you're going to put in your meta description with that keyword. It's going to help to for people to understand when they're searching for a specific topic, what your article's about. Your URL. This is something where, depending upon how your website's set up, it could be a default that your web designer put in. You want to make sure that your URL, that you change it. So it's probably going to be like touchingclients.com / and then whatever my blog post name is. But you want to make sure, and in your post name, you're going to have your keyword. But you want to just make sure that you're following the rules of engagement for what's best practices. URLs that are too long tend to get penalized. So you really want to just think about that. And then naturally, and body copy. So just as you're writing, you just want to consider where you need to put in keywords. So if you're talking about New England, but it's only in your title and you're not talking about it anywhere else, it's not going to help your article or your service to get found, dependent upon what it is. So when you first started writing your draft of your content, so if this is a blog post or if this is your services, you always want to keep the human in mind. So that's where you're going to start with. Start with that element. So you want to make sure that it's conversational, that it's storytelling, and it's personal, and that it feels like it's natural. That's the big thing, that it's not created in AI, and that it's not created, that it's very stiff and it's very hard to relate to people. So you want to just make sure that there's a flow to the content, that people it's going to entice them to continue to read. So the human element, the personal. And the other thing too is that you always, we talk about the know, like, and trust all the time, but as you're building that momentum in the information you're sharing, you definitely want to make sure that it's something that's going to be of interest and not boring, that it's going to entice people to continue to read or possibly go on and read more content on your website. So step 4 is when you're going to add your SEO. That's going to be your editing stage. So you're going to add keywords kind of naturally in the conversation. And what makes it easier, so this is kind of, we used to write content more for keywords starting and not for that natural conversation. I feel like it's way easier to start writing for the human and then put in the keywords after. So because you already have kind of the story of what you're trying to accomplish for your end reader, and adding the SEO afterwards, I feel like is helpful. So it also, when you're adding the SEO, you can add structure. So that's where maybe you want to add a header to a paragraph section. Maybe you want to look at kind of spacing out your paragraphs a little bit more. Also, you add internal links. So a lot of times, because we are experts in our businesses and what we do, chances are we've written a piece of content that's relatable on our website. So this is where you would say, I would backlink, or I would internally link. So I would take a link from another blog post that was relevant to maybe a section in my paragraph. And what I would do is I would just link it there. Google likes that. Add calls to action at the end of your content. So that's call us, read on, leave a comment, ask for people to engage with you. That's one thing that sometimes we miss out on. And then always, again, go back and optimize those images. Make sure that you have them labeled correctly. The other thing too is that you need to be mindful that your images are not too big on your website. It can really bog down a website. And you want to make sure that there's tools. So depending upon what website builder you use, there's lots of different tools that you can choose from. And so the tools, I lost my train of thought, sorry. Oh, optimizing the images. So like in WordPress, you can actually have a widget that optimizes your photos for you. Now, if you have a lot of photos on your website, because it is definitely something where people are visually interested, pulls people in to tell your story, though you might want to take a look at your hosting package. So we have a client that actually it took a little bit to kind of get it resolved. But what happened was they have their pages of their website. They don't have a lot of pages. I mean, they have a good amount of pages. They have like 30 pages, but they have blog posts for the past like 6 years. So on all of those blog posts, there's images, and the website we did an update to a plugin, and the website was just like heavy. It just couldn't, and we do have a photo optimizer on there, but it just wasn't enough. So we ended up having to update their hosting package, and now it's like boom, boom. And that's another thing. If your website is running slow, you definitely want to start looking at those images and then maybe talk about your hosting package, because Google wants your website. They penalize you for bogging it down, because what happens is things time out. So, and then again, add your meta description. So the authenticity layer is kind of just adding elements that AI can't fake. See, everyone thinks AI is taking over the world, and it definitely is relevant today, but they can't give lived experience. Like, you are the experienced person. It is a computer. You can give it information about some of your lived experience to help you create content. But they don't have the personal stories that you have. They also don't have the values and perspectives that you have. So you really want to kind of think about that. So if you are using AI as a tool to help you deliver content, think about how you can bring your personality and those core values and that core voice that you offer into that. So an example is like, if you're teaching Pinterest, share your real results or challenges. So like, my biggest challenge on my own website is I always have to go back and label the images. I don't do a great job of doing that up front. I'm always like, boom, 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 boom. And that's a real AI can't take that over. So just remember that kind of in that authenticity layer, that you are the one that people are connecting with, right? So make sure that it sounds like you and that it comes from you and that you offer that. So some storytelling framework for SEO. So kind of just from the SEO friendly structure, you have your problem, right? So whatever your topic of conversation is, so if it's those alt attributes in your photos, naming your photos, and then your story, what's your message, what do you want to deliver to your audience, and then offer some tips and value, because that 80-20 rule, people, you want to make sure that people understand what you offer, that you're providing value, and that we're not overselling to them. Keyword rich explanation, and then your call to action. So some example, the problem, feeling invisible online. Yeah, sometimes we do, because we're wondering, especially if we're looking at our Google Analytics on our website, are we getting traction there? The story, I felt the same building the gray wave. So this is an example of just kind of a community that I work within. And then here, kind of the value is here's why SEO helps, really going back and looking at those pages. And then the call to action is want help building your content plan. So this is kind of the structure, and you're probably already doing this, but it's sometimes a helpful reminder to have that framework to make sure that you've covered everything. So here's an example. So this is before, this is really SEO heavy. SEO copywriting for online business after 50 can increase traffic and conversion when using keywords. So, I mean, it's very matter of factly, where when you add some heart, if you're building an online business after 50, you probably felt invisible online. SEO helps people find you, but your story helps them trust you. Let's look at how to use keywords without losing your voice. So much more personal. It is a bit more wordy though. So you just want to be mindful of that in kind of your conversations, right? So as you're building your content, when you add that personal element, it definitely becomes more wordy. So always consider places where you can add bullets for specific areas, but it definitely makes a difference on kind of how it makes you feel, right? So like if it's relatable, I'm more likely to read on, where, if it's kind of just matter of factly, I mean, maybe I'm just trying to get some facts from it, and that's okay. But the goal is that you're going to offer that educational value to draw people in so they can connect with you. So step 5, turn traffic into trust. So some trust building must-haves: consistent voice. You definitely, if you have people in your company that write, that connect with people outside of, that connect with your audience, you can have them write blog posts too, but just make sure that the voice and the vision of the overarching theme of your company is similar, but you can have it be personable to them and how they communicate. Definitely make sure your formatting is clear. If you are writing a Google Doc and you put it, copy and paste it into the back end of your website to get that blog posted, a lot of times the formatting doesn't stay. I use Grammarly, I use the extension for Grammarly, but sometimes it doesn't pop up when I'm putting it into the back end of a website. So, or if I copy and paste from Grammarly, I have issues with the formatting. So make sure you look at your formatting, helpful depth, engaging storytelling, real examples. That's always any kind of proof you can provide, statistics, experiences, case studies, and then calls to action that feel personal. Like how, when you're asking somebody to take action, how is it going to make their life better? How is it going to help them in the long run? So an example would be, want my 7-step SEO content checklist, grab it here. Pretty simple. I'm sorry, the sun is just terrible. Let's see. Okay, so 3 buckets of high performing content. So search based is going to be your keywords. That's one bucket. Bucket 2 is story-based connection. That's about connecting with your audience. And then share-based, value people who want to pass it along. So this is where you're getting people to share your information and share what you're delivering. And some examples are search email automation examples, the story, why you built yours. So tell why you did this, or use an example of a client success story that you can add to it. And then share a template or checklist. So offer something that they can take action on. That's really important. It also adds value and trust to your audience. So here are some quick tools. They are, a lot of these have free options. So Answer the Public. This is a great place to put in some questions to get feedback. It is free. Google Trends is great for looking at when you're kind of looking at some certain topics or even keywords. You can see how often people are searching it. I did this a lot when we were looking at drop shipping. EV chargers was kind of our primary focus, and I would watch the trends of it kind of gives you past trends. And when I say trends, like how often people are searching for that, and then it makes a prediction on what the future of that keyword is or that topic. So that's very interesting. Keywords everywhere. Rank Math or Yoast. I use Yoast. There is a free version on the back end that you can put in a WordPress website. However, the paid version, it's about $140 a year or something like that, and it's well worth it because it does help with some of the AI stuff, and we'll talk about that here in a second. ChatGPT is a great resource. Now, the big thing about using AI, though, is you have to really make sure that you're asking it the right prompts to get the right feedback, and it takes a little bit of time to figure that out, but I think that's I think it's important to recognize that. But I use AI. I think it's a great tool to help me to kind of outline things, to get different ideas, different perspectives. Hemingway or Grammarly for clarity. Grammarly is my best friend. I am a terrible, terrible speller. It knows, I've been using it so long, it knows all my words that I can't spell correctly. So I always encourage you to look at that. So the future of AI and kind of where SEO fits in. So we all know when we do Google searches now, Gemini is giving us kind of at the top above, even where it's sharing about whatever it is you're searching for. It's kind of giving us recommendations or a synopsis of a specific topic that we're looking for. It definitely answers questions before people even get to click. So what does that mean? Now, that means that we also, not only are we SEO optimizing our information, but now we have to think about adding AI into the mix. Are we writing our content for AI? Is there specific measures we need to take? So human depth and personal experience are definitely increasingly outranks generic content. So that's one thing to consider. That's where that personal storytelling, authenticity, expertise, and trust signals matter more than ever. And then AI tools can help you research, draft, and optimize, but your voice is a differentiator. And that is true. The one thing I will tell you is that, and I will do a session in the new year on kind of the AI, how AI and SEO work together. It's something where when you're optimizing your website for SEO, there's some tags that you put in for AI, and so it will pick up in the AI, whatever tools people are using, so it will pull your content into place, which can make a big difference. So AI can help you create content for sure, but it's your humanity that makes it worth reading. And always remember that, and don't forget that. I think sometimes I've talked to some business owners that are like totally in AI land, typing and taking and pulling, but they're forgetting stuff that they need to kind of pull out to put in their voice. So here's some quick wins you guys can use today, because I say 30 minutes and I want to be very close to that. So add a keyword to your next blog title. Turn a social media post into a searchable long form piece. So add a story paragraph to a blog you've already written. So go back, you can always go back to content that you've written before and re-optimize it and kind of look at ways that you can kind of change those segments. Especially, that's where your Google Analytics comes into play. Look at your blog posts that get the most traction. How can you enhance that? Go back and start there, and then update SEO on your most popular. And that's what I just said. Your most popular post. So that's key. 7-minute SEO authenticity edit. Highlight keywords. Add one personal example. Break up text with headers. Don't forget your call to action. Add your meta description and add alt text and read it out loud. This is a big thing. Read it out loud. I feel like I'm a little definitely ADHD or ADD, and I'm all over the place some days. And so one of the biggest things that I've learned, and my husband can have credit for this, because he would be like, you need to read it out loud. So when we do emails, for clients, when I'm writing a blog post, he's always like, make sure you read it out loud, because if it sounds funny and you're reading it, you're going to recognize it, right? So like maybe it's missing a word. Maybe it's, and a lot of times, sometimes you'll see the spelling errors. So read it out loud. That is a great, underrated element to kind of writing content. So just remember, SEO helps find you. You know, this is your search engine optimization is going to help find you on the internet. Authenticity helps people stay because they're connected to you. There's that emotional element. And together, they help people trust you. And that's really what the goal is for you. All right. So I do have and I didn't read this out loud. Quick star. So quick star. I do have an actionable item checklist for you. If you are interested in, you are welcome to scan the QR code. Plus, I will also drop it here in the, have them drop it here in the chat. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have here. So just mark them in the queue. Sign up for your actionable checklist. All right. Okay, perfect. So let's see. I did see a question here. Give me 1 second. I'll go back to it. Okay, so OFI Academy. Hello. Where does the image name come from? The data you enter on the website or the metadata that's in your image library? So where does the image name come from? So the image name come from, so I typically use, I use the title from my content that has an SEO key, that has a keyword in it. It's going to come from that. You can, so it's, you can label it before you load it into your website. You can update the title also in your image library. The data you enter on the website or the meta. Yeah, so you can, so I typically try to name it before I load it, but you can definitely edit the photo in your library with the description. And so this is where, I'm not sure what website builder you're using, but what's great about like a tool like Yoast, it actually will tell you, it'll tell you what needs to be changed in the content. So that's what I really like. Like there's, and I'm sure there's other ones that people can use on different websites, but those tools are super helpful in content. So a lot of times I will go in and I'll write my content on a different page. I'll write my content on a different page, like in Grammarly, and then I'll put it into the back end of the website and I'll edit it in the website because I'll run Yoast on it. I'll run this tool that'll help me to say, it will tell me that my keyword is missing from my title, that it's not in my headers enough, that it's not in my first paragraph. So in that first 100 words, it'll also tell me that I don't have any internal links. And what it does is it's kind of red. It goes red, which means it's not ready. It's not SEO optimized. And then orange, meaning it's getting there, but green light is go, right? It also has readability too. So it has a section on readability. So I can see like the way that it's written, is it really user end friendly? Like, is it friendly for humans to read? Like, is there a connection there? So, and it also will give you those tips to help you to write it more effectively. Now on the paid version, it also offers some of that AI element where you can, it'll tell you how AI sees it, which is helpful too. So this is something where, you know, my checklist gives you kind of actionable things to do, but I highly, highly recommend whatever you can do to get a tool. And now there's other tools too. So there's like SEO Optimizer as a tool, but they become paid services. So if you can intermix it into your website, that's definitely going to be helpful. I feel like, for me, I feel like that's the most productive use of my time with writing those blog posts. So I hope that's helpful. All right, my friends. Well, that is a wrap. I am at 34 minutes. So I'm 4 minutes over, and I always try to deliver on 30 minutes on a Thursday. So I hope to see you next week. Next week, though, because of the holiday, let me look here. I'm pretty sure that I am, what's next week? We're doing Tuesday next week for our live stream. So we're doing Tuesday, so I hope to see you on Tuesday. And let me tell you what it is. I thought that I had it up and I do not, so I apologize. Give me 1 second and I can tell you what our topic is next week, and I'll drop the link here. So let's see. Topic next week is upcoming on next week. Interesting. I'm having a hard time finding it. Hold on. Oh, okay. So next week is about is no more generic content. I'm going to be talking about crafting stories. So we'll talk about a little bit more about storytelling, which kind of plays into a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about. And then in the new year, I'm going to have, and I'm going to drop that. So join us next week. Join us on Tuesday. And here you go. Here's the link. So I hope to see you guys then. Thanks so much. And again, you're welcome to scan the QR code for my friends that are catching the replay. I did drop the link in the chat here, so you're welcome to sign up for the checklist. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. It's always great to see you on a Thursday. I appreciate your time, and I'll look forward to seeing you on Tuesday next week, my friends. Have a great day.